Well, that was funny, and the game of operation is just a bunch of fun and games. But sometimes in real life, a trip to the doctor is not fun and games. Sometimes the cancer is real. Sometimes the infection is out of control. Sometimes the artery is blocked or the blood sugar is at dangerous levels. I had a time like this in my own life a few years back. Started having some pain in my abdomen and my lower back that I knew just wasn't right. If you're anything like me, you hate going to the doctor, right? So I just waited a little while, didn't do anything about it. But eventually the pain got so bad I couldn't ignore it anymore. So I went to the urgent care clinic down the road from my house. And I get in there and they take one look at me, and after about 2 minutes, they look at me and they say, "Hey buddy, you need to go to the emergency room and you need to go right now. Don't go home, don't stop anywhere, go straight to the emergency room." It starts to freak me out a little bit, they were so alarmed by this. So I took their advice. I went straight to the emergency room. And I get in there and they check me over a little bit, and after a very short time, they decided they needed to order a CAT scan to see what was going on with me. And so you sit there and you wait for the CAT scan results to come back. But the doctor comes in. I'll never forget the way he put it when he gave me the results. He looks at me and he says, "Mr. Cahalan, you have an angry colon." Not the kind of statement that's easy to forget. He then proceeds to tell me that I have a serious case of diverticulitis, which is an infection of the colon. And the way to treat this is they need to admit me into the hospital and possibly need to do surgery. He says they need to give some pretty intense rounds of antibiotics, but if the antibiotics don't work and I don't have surgery, it could perforate my colon. And if it perforates my colon, I become toxic and it's likely that I die. So he looks at me and he tells me this, "Hey, this is serious. We don't handle this right. It could kill you." Now, when you're 40 years old and you're otherwise a pretty healthy guy, that's not the kind of thing you expect to hear, right? So I go through all this treatment. I'm in and out of the hospital over the next several months. And it became clear after a few months that the treatment just wasn't working. The antibiotics were not going to be enough to handle this infection. So eventually they recommended that I have the surgery. And there I was, faced with this decision, sort of a life and death kind of decision. Was I going to be willing to allow someone to take a knife, cut me open, and remove one of my vital organs, right? This was a pretty serious and big deal. And as you're trying to make this decision, it gets confusing because if I don't have the surgery, it means I'm willing to just wait and see, right? I'm willing to wait to find out, would some additional rounds of antibiotics be enough to take care of the infection before my colon perforates? So, it's a very complicated decision. If I have the surgery, it could kill me, right? Something could go wrong, and during surgery, I could die. But in my case, if I don't have the surgery, my colon could perforate, and I could die. So how do you make a decision like that? Well, it really comes down to something very simple, and for me and my family, it really did come down to something as simple as this. Did we trust this surgeon to cut me open, to take a knife, cut me open, and remove what needed to be removed? Did we trust this guy with my life and with the future of our family? As I looked around at my wife and my 4 kids, and we tried to make this decision, that's really what it came down to for us, right? It was life or death. Because listen, this was no game of operation. A mistake doesn't cause some buzzer to go off and generate a few laughs. A mistake ends my life. And so in moments like this, when you're faced with the decision, are you willing to subject yourself to the surgeon's knife? It's one of those times in life where you just can't afford to be wrong.